Good morning, everybody. We have to use the microphone because we are live streaming. This is the camera zone right here, Mo and Chief. We're going to give this probably another 1 or 2 minutes, see if any other folks show up, hopefully, possibly. For those of you out there live streaming, thank you very much. Thanks for being with us digitally.
So your little musical things can go work? Yes. Today's your birthday?
Thank you.
Happy birthday. Should we sing on live stream?
Yes, absolutely.
No. And no.
Justin's my favorite.
We don't need to do it.
Shows dedication here.
We Give it another minute, I think. No. See for questions, probably. He's usually here at these. Well, he has been in the past. He beat me. He beat me here. Good morning again, everybody. We're going to start kicking this off. I'm going to just kind of go through a little bit of an opening for this, introductions, if you will. First off, I'm going to introduce the presenters and let us get that out of the way. And then from there, I'm going to go on and speak more on emergency management and safety services. This is actually National Preparedness Month. I got to remember to stand probably in the live stream area, so I tend to walk around a little bit. This is National Preparedness Month. It's a national kind of outreach campaign for emergency preparedness. We scheduled this because of that during this month, and we're also having some other fun, from our perspective, and interesting trainings. From the perspective of preparedness. So we actually have, on the Friday the 21st, we have a Stop the Bleed training here in Willis Library, actually in this room from 9 to 10, followed by active threat training put on via our friends at UNT PD. And then we're doing another session from 11 to 12 of Stop the Bleed training. Wonderful training. Unfortunately, is needed in this day and age. It is a training co-hosted by us and actually put on by a trauma nurse from Medical City Denton. So it's a really good training on gauze usage and tourniquet usage as well. So has anybody here been through that, Stop the Bleed? A few people? Good? You think? Beneficial? I think so. So we look forward to seeing you out for that. All of this is on our website as well, emergency.unt.edu. And at the end of this presentation, we will we will have those resources available for you as well, where to get more information that we do speak on today. Wednesday the 26th on the South Lawn of Library Mall, we're partnering with UNT Police at the safety fair as well. We'll have other community members out there to talk on preparedness and other safety aspects. So again, this information is on the table here as you're stepping out, and for those online streaming us, again, emergency.unt.edu and police.unt.edu. You can find a lot of this information on. So good morning again. My name is Justin Stewart from the Emergency Management and Safety Services Office. Again, this is the Campus Safety and Security Seminar that we put on twice a year now, every long semester. And again, streaming this out worldwide. So hello again. So we will just jump right into this with presentations. Here's the agenda for today: departmental overview, speaking on disruptive students, faculty, and staff, Clery Act and VAWA, Violence Against Women Act, bystander intervention, campus safety, general safety tips, active shooter, personal preparedness, and then weather, fire, and medical emergencies from our perspective, emergency management. Here's where we are, room 250 in Willis Library. The automated external defibrillator is downstairs in the elevator lobby in case any of us falls out that is up here presenting this information. Evacuation, of course, stairwells are in each corner of the building. So the fire alarms go off, that's where we'll go. We'll meet outside in the front there. So I'll pass this off to Sergeant Crawford.
Good morning. We keep saying that, but good morning. So real quick about the police department, what I want to let y'all know about is we have 45 sworn police officers that work in the police department. It's the Texas Education Code that gives us our power and authority. Essentially, we have all the same kind of background and training that any police officer in the state of Texas has, all right? Now, under that education code, it basically breaks down the jurisdictional areas. So this law allows us to basically have policing authority anywhere in the county wherever the university owns property. So as you can see, the list of the counties, basically the DFW Metroplex. Now, even though the law allows us to do that, it doesn't mean we're driving through the middle of downtown Dallas looking for people with no turn signals. We understand that our community, our focus is the UNT community. So that's kind of where our primary patrol is. That's where we're going to be focusing our attention on to ensure that everybody's safe. Now, we are an accredited agency with the CLIA. That is kind of a national policing association. It's a really kind of a big deal to get their accreditation. Basically, it is the organization of organizations who hold us accountable for best practices in policing. Now, the truth is only 77% of all agencies across the state, or I'm sorry, across the nation are accredited through this. And part of that reason is this is us allowing a third-party outside person to come in and tell us what's the best practices in a police department. So not a lot of police agencies are willing to have a third-party person come in and give them that kind of guidance. But we want to make sure that we are doing what we think is in the best interest of the community. We want to make sure that we are leading the way and being a good model police agency, so we welcome them to come in. The other accreditation that we have is through ICLEA. That's kind of an international campus law enforcement association. As of now, there's only 22 universities, police departments across the nation that have the dual accreditation, and we are one of those 22. Now, what does that kind of, I tell people all the time, what does that mean to the community? For us, it's bragging rights a little bit to talk about the professionalism that we follow, and that's what I want to drive the message to you, is that the UNT Police Department, and you have the clicker, or did it just, oh, Chief does. What it basically represents is that we are a professional policing agency, that you can feel safe that when you make contact with the UNT Police Department or when we're out here doing our jobs, you're talking about a professional organization, because we've had to prove to these organizations who come in and basically audit us frequently. They review our policies, they watch our videos, they read our reports, they quiz our officers, and they make sure we are doing what they consider professional policing. So a little bit more about our department. We have 3 divisions within our police department. The first division is what you kind of think of when you think of police work. That's going to be our patrol operations. They're going to be the men and women that are taking the calls for service, the traffic enforcement, things like along those lines. Biggest thing I want to draw attention to about that division is that they are going to be here 24/7, 365. We will always be here protecting our officers, ensuring that protecting our community, ensuring we're here. I worked patrol for about 8 years before I took over the community relations, and you know, this is how dedicated to the mission at UNT we are. I remember I live in Fort Worth. I don't live in Denton, and I got a phone call one day because there was expected ice storms and the university was going to shut down. Well, we keep the promise that we will be here no matter what. So I got a call saying, "Room, you need to come stay because we want to make sure you're here for shift tomorrow." So we are dedicated to making sure we're here. The other division is going to be our criminal investigations division. That's going to be our CID, basically. They're responsible for kind of collecting and preserving our evidence, interviewing our suspects, obtaining our search warrants, and kind of our narcotics investigations. When I talk about police work, the best way I can kind of break it down is, if you imagine a crime happening, our operations, our patrolmen and women, they respond to that crime. They kind of start collecting up the puzzle pieces, and then they turn those puzzle pieces over to our criminal investigations division, who starts putting that picture together and putting all those pieces together so that everybody can see exactly what happened, okay? So that's kind of how the 2 departments work together. Now the communications, they fall, and community relations, that all falls within our administration division. Just like we are state certified police officers, they too are state certified 911 operators. We can handle any 911 call that comes into this campus, and not only from a police officer's perspective, but they can handle it when it comes in and they're having to give you guidance over the phone. They too are here 24/7, 365. So we will always have somebody on the other end of that phone to answer it if you should need help on this campus. Now, community relations, which is what I do, basically I'm responsible for the community outreach, the safety education, and the crime prevention. I basically kind of explain to people what my position's about as the community relations person, and we are a very community-focused police department. We understand that the reason for our existence on this campus is to protect and serve you, the community members. And because of that, that's one of the things that falls within my responsibilities. It's my job that as you express concerns to me, to come up with potential solutions for those concerns, because if it's affecting your safety or the safety of others, we need to try to resolve that, right? The other part of my job is to ensure that we are working together as a community. When we talk about community safety, the truth is, yes, the police department is the tip of the spear. It is our responsibility to keep you safe. But I'm also going to argue that it actually takes the entire community working together. We all have to do things like calling 911 on suspicious people, giving us good descriptions, making sure that we don't leave our property unsecured and unattended to make us a vulnerable target to thieves. All those things are something that we all have to work together on. And that's kind of what another part of my position is, to make sure that I'm identifying ways that we can work together to make it a community effort, okay? There's a picture of our police department. We're about to hopefully get a new one. This picture's almost perfect minus one thing. I'm not in it. I joke all the time. First picture they've taken in my 12 years here, and they scheduled on my vacation day. So if you ask the chief, he said it was deliberate. So, but that's okay. I'm coordinating the next one. I'm making sure that it's my schedule. So safety programs. I love to talk, which means I love to teach, okay? So we have a list this is a list of our most popular safety programs. All these programs are available to you for free. I do like to present to groups, but the truth is I understand not everybody has an opportunity to have a group or an organization that allows them to attend a training or host me for training. So the truth is that if you find yourself interested in even just one of these programs, if you send me an email, I will make arrangements to teach you. I'm full of knowledge on public safety. It's kind of a passion of mine to read and study and learn things from others so I can help keep my community safe. So if you and you alone are interested in one of these programs, send me an email. I'll make arrangements. We'll have lunch at my desk, and I'll sit there and I'll teach you what you need to teach. Now, I will tell you the only thing that I can't teach you individually is going to be the self-defense training. That is one of our pride programs. It is, we only allow, first of all, our certified instructors. We send them to something that gives them the blessing to teach their program. we have a lot of resources and a lot of stuff goes in there, and then our instructors, it's only kind of like a part-time position for them. They actually have a full-time police position. So it's really a lot goes into it, so it's difficult for me to do a one-on-one class for that. But what I do make sure I do is I do at least one, and I'm trying to grow it to 2 per semester community programs where all you got to do is just send me RSVP when I announce it, and then you will be guaranteed a slot and get the training. For example, my next one coming up is October 4th. It's actually going to be my social media post today. Who here has Facebook and Twitter? Who here follows the UNT Police Department on Facebook and Twitter? Oh, it makes me sad when I see hands go down. Okay, so here's the truth. Today's society, in police work especially, one of the easiest and most modern way to get information out that we think can affect you or is important to you is through social media. So at the end of the day, if you get nothing else from this training, I want you to understand the value in following us on Facebook and Twitter. For example, sometimes not everything reaches that federal level where we got to send you out a big notification, but we see some crime trends happening, i.e., anybody here owned a Honda Element? Okay, not very many people do, but those who do, we saw a spike about a year ago in their catalytic converter thefts, right? So that's not necessarily didn't warrant the timely warning notification that were required by the Clery law, but it felt like it was important enough to let y'all know. So we used our social media accounts. Things like my upcoming safe self-defense class, I want to advertise that. The fact that we got a ULOC program and I just got my 500 ULOCs in for the year, and I'm so excited about that. I announced that they're available on our Facebook, Twitter. So it's basically a resource for you to go find out information of what's happening on this campus and things that you can do to keep safe. All right, so that's gonna be at UNT Police. All right, you're back up, Justin.
So very quickly, like Sergeant Crawford was mentioning, we're here to promote this culture of preparedness, individual responsibility, knowledge from your individual perspective, your own life experiences on how to react, how to, keep safety and preparedness in mind is our mantra and is our kind of what we preach on. So again, this ties into our mission statement with Emergency Management and Safety Services, create this culture of readiness, ensuring the campus community is actively involved in your own personal emergency preparedness. So this goes much further than just your office and your work life, your UNT life, your community life, your church life. It goes into your home life, any kind of social gathering that you're in. We are here to promote these tools and to give you these tools for you to access or for you to come and ask us questions. Hey, what should I do about this? How should I respond to this? What do you think about this kind of situation? Again, that's our job. That's what we love to do. That's why we're here and we do this outreach that we do tirelessly. We're constantly trying to get out in front of the UNT community. So again, any of you all out there also in streaming land, holler at us, any of us, Dean of Students Office, UNT Police, Office of Emergency Management and Safety Services, for any of your training needs, even if you have a general question, query, concern about your working area or even your personal area, we will come and consult with you very, very quickly. Again, it's what we love. It's why we're here. So again, this idea of culture preparedness, individual preparedness, departmental readiness, and then also, of course, which also ties into our institutional resiliency for the UNT community. So this is our team here, minus one new member that we have also. Mr. Ronnie Dobbs is not listed on here. He's our new Fire and Life Safety Program Manager. So y'all may see him out and about on campus doing building inspections, but y'all can kind of see what our main priorities are within this team and our functions within this team of the Emergency Operations Center, Emergency Management and Safety Services. We each have our own kind of niche priorities that we do, but again, we all come together for the greater cause of preparedness and outreach and safety and security on this campus, collaborating and partnering with our constituents as well as police and Dean of Students Office. So I forgot business cards, but again, emergency.unt.edu is going to be your one-stop shop for a lot of this information that we go through today. Like Sergeant Crawford said, we utilize heavily Twitter to get out information. This is one time in the presentation where we won't take your phones away if you're out utilizing them. So please open Twitter, follow at UNT Police, follow at UNT_EM. We're on Facebook as well. We try to do a really good job as far as getting out preparedness information, weather-related alerts, and then of course we also like to have a little bit of fun with it as well, just like the UNT Police do. We're not quite as funny as them, but we do aspire and have aspirations towards that. So anyhow, that's our some of our resources there in a nutshell. Mean Green Ready app is another resource that we give y'all, another tool for you all as community members at UNT and within your own community that we give y'all access to is our Mean Green Ready app. And it has all the information that we're going through today, plus a whole lot more. You can search in any app store, UNT Emergency, download that, tell us what you think. One of the main details that gets a lot of hits is actually the emergency guidelines, has guidelines on what to do per any kind of emergency. And then also our building and evacuation emergency floor plan maps are located on this as well. So you're building on your campus or building on the campus that you work in. You do have access to an emergency floor plan map that shows you tornado shelter areas, emergency egress and evacuation, automated external defibrillator locations, and then some other kind of various information there safety-wise. If you get back to your desk and you notice that your building floor plan is out of date or is not listed on there because you're in a fairly new building, as all this new construction going on, please give us a holler, shout out at us, either on Twitter or email us. emergency.management@unt.edu is another way to get in contact with us. So I'm going to pass it off to Mo.
Awesome, thank you. How's everybody doing? I don't like mics, but I guess I have to use it. So the Dean of Students Office offers a number of different resources for our students, and sometimes they don't like them, like our disruptive students, and enforcing the Code of Student Conduct. So we have an expectation of behavior for our students, both on and off campus. And if a student is not following the code, it's something for us to be dealing with in regards to investigations and adjudication and giving sanctions. And so disruptive students, not that we have any at the University of North Texas, but we would deal with that should we have them, okay? Usually it's disruptive faculty and staff, but we'll talk about that later. We do care team referrals. Who's heard of the care team? Okay, our numbers off the charts. Yesterday we had 22 referrals. And so our care team is a team we put together after Virginia Tech, looking at a multifaceted team that is looking at situations where students, faculty, and staff may be a threat to themselves or others. And so looking at the different issues, and I will tell you, when I say threats to self or others, and I say that we had 22 referrals yesterday, those 22 were threats to themselves. Okay, and so threats to others many times comes through our Code of Student Conduct or our employee policies and things like that. And so we are seeing an increase of mental health issues with our students. We do know that mental health usually exposes itself between the ages of 18 and 22. And we also know that this generation of students love to go to social media, text messages, and a number of different ways to kind of cope. Because they have no coping skills. And so definitely something that you're going to continue to see. We are going to release this week 13 Reasons Why UNT Cares. Anybody see that, the 13 Reasons Why Netflix series? It's horrible. And it's one of those things that this generation needs to be aware of, but also needs to be aware of is how do they get help. And so we're trying to take a positive spin to it and give it 13 Reasons Why UNT Cares. So you'll start to see some of that. We investigate sexual misconduct, domestic violence, dating violence, and stalking. And out of all of those, not that I want to belittle any of them, but the one that concerns me the most is stalking. Because when we see students for that, the behavior is still ongoing. And there is some kind of fear. And there is situations where we need to make very quick decisions to keep that person or the community safe. We do work with the police department all the time. And so know that those conversations are ongoing. I've already talked to Captain Crawford or Captain Gilbreth twice today, and so we keep each other on speed dial. He just moves up and down like Seinfeld. Depends which police officer. Okay. We assist students with medical issues in regards to car accidents, illnesses, different things going on in their lives. We know that students continually struggle. We had a student today reach out that their father died Friday, and they need some advocacy service and some help from our office. And so those are things that we continually do. And then when a student dies, we become the contact for the faculty, the staff, students, as well as the family, and act appropriately and make sure that we take care of that family as a member of our community. So like I said, disruptive students, we don't have any, but sometimes we see visitors that way, or faculty and staff. If you run into this or disturbing behavior, for example, we've had calls, and I will say, working with the police department, you should never feel that you can't call them because you're afraid of your safety, okay? And so if you see somebody after Columbine happened and there were people walking around with trench coats and duffel bags and that causes you concern, there should be no reason why you can't call the police if you feel like your safety is compromised, okay? And so we've seen students with bulletproof vests, or it looks like they might be carrying something and we know they're under the age of 21. And then campus carry, we'll talk about that today, right? Okay, so campus carry, if for some reason you believe somebody has a gun or you've seen a gun, you call the police, okay? It's never something that you should intervene on your own behalf, okay? Anything you want to say about that? Care team, we've talked a little bit about this. So when we started the care team back in 2008, we had 11 referrals, 11. It was really easy to manage. This past year, we had 675. And those numbers continue to increase. On Monday, we had 20, and yesterday we had about 22. And those numbers are very valid. It's not things that are coming in and somebody has something minor going on. It is that they are threatening suicide, that they are struggling with the point of anxiety and depression that is interfering with their lives. We've had a number of hospitalizations this week. And this is pretty normal. It's something that if you would have told me I would deal with 20 years ago, I would have told you there's no way. There's other resources. But it's something that we do pay attention to and know that we deal with every day. We are not first responders. I don't get a gun legally because I'm not licensed. Okay? Not that I have one illegally. We'll talk later, Crawford. I don't get a medical bag, even though I'm a doctor. And I don't get a fast car. Well, another legal one, right? And so we are not first responders. And I will tell you, when we first started talking about the care team, people would call us rather than calling 911. We had a student one time pass out because she got an F, and they called the care team rather than called the ambulance. That's not my role, okay? And I want to make sure that everybody understands that. I can't get to Discovery Park as fast as the police can. So know that that's something. We've started a new online process, or an online reporting system today, or overall. So for care team, for disruptive behavior, for student org, for sexual misconduct, it's report.unt.edu. But you can also call the care team through those phone numbers and email. Oh, see, I told you, disruptive faculty and staff. That is not me, so don't call me. Okay, no, disruptive faculty and staff. If you have to get the police involved, you know that phone number, but also it might be an HR issue, and so getting HR involved is definitely something that I would recommend that you do. We do have this happen, so just knowing that that might exist. Is this me or you? Well, we can tag team. So the Clery Act, actually today I'm editing our annual security report that you'll get next Thursday or Friday. It's 98 pages. If anybody wants to help me edit it, you can join me today in my office. This was something that passed in 1990 after Jean Clery was raped and murdered in a residence hall room at Lehigh University in Pennsylvania. This is about when I was in college, and so it was definitely something that we were paying attention to. What happened was she went to bed in the residence hall room and left her door unlocked for her roommate, which we all did back then. I used to be guilty of propping, before I became an RA, of propping outside doors with pizza boxes or rocks, right? Because it was really hard to get my key out. And so what happened was that kind of thing happened. The door was propped, And somebody went through the residence hall room just hitting on doorknobs to see what was open because he was looking to steal, okay? We see this happen in our residence halls in regards to it's a crime of opportunity if people leave their doors unlocked, how easy it is to just go in and take something. And so what happened was a man who ended up murdering her broke into her room by the door being open. She left it open for a roommate, and he went in and raped and murdered her. And looked at it as a crime of opportunity. Well, what happened from that was her parents went on a crusade to talk about crime on campus and around the surrounding areas. And out of that came the Clery Act. It first became law in Pennsylvania, and that became a federal law in 1990. In 2013, many of you probably heard about the Violence Against Women Act, which amended Clery, not Title IX. I want to make sure that that's very clear. But then we had to start looking at Clery crimes from domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, and stalking. And so that's why you've really seen a lot of activism since 2013, along with the Obama administration and the Dear Colleague letter of 2011. So the Clery Act and Title IX talk, but sometimes they don't talk. And I want to make sure everybody's aware of that. So when we're looking at VAWA Statistics, and again, that's Violence Against Women Act, 3 in 10 women, 1 in 10 men, we believe experience or have rape, physical violence, and stalking by a partner. Stalking has become more prevalent because the laws have changed, as well as we see the increase with social media, GPS tracking, so on and so forth. For example, anybody use Snapchat? If you don't block your location, anybody that follows you on Snapchat can kind of see where you are. And it's very easy that if you have some kind of obsession with somebody or some kind of unhealthy relationship, to find that person and keep following them. And so paying attention to those kinds of things is really important. Many of this stuff is not reported to authorities, but many times is reported to us. And so we had 192 cases last year of Title IX violations. We investigated close to 100 of them. But if you look at the police numbers, they're much lower than what we investigated. Oh, Kevin, you made nice highlights there. Intimate partner violence and stalking, we've talked about this, and I would highly recommend if somebody comes to you and reports this, whether they're faculty, staff, or students. We have had issues with faculty and staff having domestic violence and dating violence on campus. But that you look at it from a perspective of, even if it doesn't cause you concern, it may cause them concern, and to report it appropriately. That is to the police, and that is to our office. We have a survivor advocate that I'll talk a little bit about, but want to make sure that you know, and sometimes the other opposite is, the student might come in and not be afraid for their safety, but you're afraid. Please report it. We will look into it and address it appropriately. I can talk about a time, and we could sit down and have lunch, dinner, and probably drinks about situations that we've run into. We had a situation a couple years ago where a student was being stalked by her ex-boyfriend, and he had gone to another institution. We had helped her in August of the previous year, and then in April he showed back up. There was a trigger. Most of the time there's a trigger with stalking, and what we believe was the trigger was it was his birthday and she wasn't around. And so he followed her from her place of work on campus to her off-campus apartment. She got scared, reported that to her supervisor at the location of which she worked, which was on campus. That person got the student report to us. We got her in our safe room and her mom was concerned enough that she came up from Corsicana to be with her and see how we were going to help her. So we were moving her in the safe room, and mom and daughter decided to go and get a couple things from her apartment off campus, and he had shot his head off on the front porch of her apartment. And so if we did not act as an institution and the person didn't report us, who knows what could have happened. But I want you to know never to take any of those things and just say it couldn't happen. We could tell you stories like that over and over. So how do we help students? It's sensitive, okay. We have a survivor advocate who reports to me. We are in the process of hiring one. She'll start October 1st. But this person should be the first and foremost person we get our students to when they report some kind of violence. She helps with sexual violence, intimate partner violence, as well as other acts of violence. And so if a student is hit by a car, that person helps them as well. there are obligations we have under federal law, but most importantly because it's the right thing to do. And so there are things that we do from the academic perspective, from counseling, from medical, to be able to help them. And so always making sure that we get them involved. Has anybody heard of the thing, the process or the thing program on campus called Green Dot? Okay, we need to get more of you, but there's a big green circle at the front of this building that says, what's your Green Dot? Our Green Dot program is our active bystander program. And what it is basically putting out the red dots, so the acts of violence, the inappropriate comments, so on and so forth. And what do you do as an active bystander? And so we believe in doing something rather than just watching things happen and not report them. It's very sensitive. So, stand, speak, act. What we believe is if you see something, say something, do something. Okay? And we put that do in there because many times just saying something may not be enough. So, bystander intervention. Is this me or is this you? Okay. Just tell me when I'm done. Okay, tell me when I'm done. You need somebody to work for you? So what do? So notice the situation, be aware of your surroundings. What you will see, and I see it all the time, I almost, somebody today driving down Highland at 7 o'clock in the morning, all they were doing was on their phone, right? How many times have you seen it? So what are you paying attention to if you are looking down at your phone? Not much, right? That's why you should be texting and driving. Well, for many other reasons, you shouldn't be texting and driving, but that's one, right? Do you recognize that somebody needs help? A couple times, I remember a time where I was walking to my car in lot 24. Is that where I park? Yeah, I'm concerned that they all know. But I'm walking to my lot in 24, and I see a visually impaired student just standing in the middle of the street, okay? And so he was waiting for Uber, but thought he was on the curb. Well, if I just left him there, who knows what could have happened, right? And so what you do is you go up and you have a conversation with that student and you say, hey, what's going on? Can I get you, right now you're standing in the middle of the street, can I get you to the curb and take my arm and I'll get you there, and then I'll let you know when Uber gets here. And so paying attention to what's going on as well as addressing it, right? Not just ignoring it. 565-3000 is a phone number we call often, and knowing that even if there's something that's shady to you going on, they'll come in and look at it, and that's the police department phone number. So you should all have it in your cell phones. Okay? Know what options you have on campus. So what are your resources? How will you get the student to be taken care of? Those kinds of things. Or the faculty or staff person or the visitor. And then tell somebody what's happening. Yeah. So we need to change this. Work on it. Okay, so Green Dot, we talked a little bit about that. We do have a website, livethegreendot.com, and livethegreendot@unt.edu. And so if any time we're trying to do a lot more training with faculty, staff, and students about Green Dot, and we would love to have you involved there. You? All right.
All right, so at this point, I'm going to talk about some general safety stuff. Basically, we are all ultimately responsible for our own safety. We're going to look at the part one crimes, kind of some of the major crimes where someone's been victimized. We can't talk about safety without looking at what the reality is here at UNT. You know, in my time as community relations officer, I've encountered a lot of people. There's that university college stereotype of what the crimes are that are occurring. But I'm going to tell you, based on these numbers, first of all, I want to present to you all, these are the most current numbers available. But we looked at all the major universities and compared ourselves to them here in Texas. So with the exception of UTA, and I kind of joke all the time that I think they cheated. I'm still trying to prove that. But we have at least, we'll take that we have the second lowest crimes where basically someone's been victimized because of somebody else's actions. But the one thing that we want to make sure we draw attention to is that, you know, we can't necessarily stop crime from happening. But at the moment that we get involved, we're really good at catching the bad person or solving that case, which is also in turn can help protect the community going forward, preventing that person from coming back and being able to commit crimes. So as we look at our numbers specifically, if you see our clearance rate, Of all the major universities in the state of Texas, we had the highest at 28%. In fact, the state average across every agency in the state of Texas is 18%, and we're clearing our cases at 28%. So we are very good. Our detectives are very, very good, very well trained, and they have that experience so that they can go out and take care of that clearance rate. So when we talk about safety, the truth is personal safety starts with you. Prior to being community relations, I was in patrol for about eight and a half years. I like to think that I was a very proactive police officer. I like to go out there and do my job. I like to go find criminals and catch them. But here's the truth is, I don't know how many times I'd be sitting there at a red light, and I had to make a decision. Do I want to go left or do I want to go right? And I made the decision to go right. And I saw the criminal committing the criminal act, and I arrested them, and I saved the day. I was the hero, dun, 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 right? But the truth is, what would have happened if I'd gone left at that traffic light? I would have missed the criminal act. I would have missed everything that had happened. And instead of catching the bad person, I would have been taking a call from a victim later on, okay? And again, I want to bring back the attention that clearance rate. At least once we get the victim part, we're still good at doing our jobs, right? But where I'm going with this is that a decision to go left or right could affect whether you're a victim to a crime or not. But there are things that you can always be doing 24/7 to ensure your own safety. So first of all, I'm going to start off with suggesting that you trust your instincts. If something is triggering your spidey senses to make you feel like that situation is unsafe, or that person just something doesn't feel right about that situation, take a second. Ask yourself, why am I uncomfortable with this person? Why am I uncomfortable with this situation? And then start asking yourself, what should I be doing to make myself safer? If that answer is call 911, then call 911. All right? The other part is when you're walking around campus and things like that, you got to be confident in yourself, right? And that's kind of the staying alert of your surroundings. We don't want you walking with your head down kind of doing this. We want your head to be up, you being confident that you know who you are, you know what's going on, and looking around. Studies have shown that just being aware of the danger is all it takes to protect your safety, okay? And as you move around this campus, you always want to move with a purpose. And again, be confident, and as you're walking around, make eye contact with people. Let them know that you are watching and you're paying attention, okay? So emergency phones. We have 69 of these on campus. The way essentially, in the 5 at Discovery Park, the way it works is you hit that red button, you have a two-way call, and then that little blue strobe will blink and draw attention. As we already kind of are learning a little bit in today's society, people don't, it's none of my business, I don't want to pay attention. But when you introduce loud, strange noises and flashy blue lights, everybody wants to look at you. I hate to admit this in front of the chief, but I'm not going to lie, I maybe spent like 45 minutes till I got that blinking light to be just right. So maybe a little bit of waste of my time, but I'm proud of it. So, but I'm going to tell you one thing. The truth is that the cell phones have replaced the emergency phones. I audit these every year, and typically they do not turn up emergencies. But our belief here at the UNT and within the police department is, and there's money that goes into maintaining these emergency phones, is that we will continue to invest in them, and we want to make sure that they're available to you, because all it takes is one person who needs our help and doesn't have that cell phone, and then we failed them as society. So these phones are still, like I said, a lot of people aren't using them anymore, but we still have them available to you. So these are just some self-defense devices that you can carry if you're interested. I put the slide in here because I get the question a lot. This big question, can I have this? Can I have that? I'm going to tell you right now, the #1 device I would recommend of all these devices listed is the flashlight. As I mentioned to you, studies have shown, again, being aware of the danger, right? My concerns with things like the tasers and like those little tactical pins or not, excuse me, or the knife and things along those lines is the reality to make those work, you have to be up and close and personal to use them, right? Which means that, oh, by the way, they can take them away from you and use them against you if they have to. I'm not saying like they aren't effective, but I'm going to guide you towards the flashlight. Specifically, I like to use that flashlight because it's what I carry. I know it works. Close your eyes, Chief. If I drop it on the floor and stand on it, it's tough. It lasts. It's rechargeable, right? But the main reason I recommend the flashlight, going back to that studies about being aware of the danger, is even in this light, I can turn this light on from a distance. If I'm walking around the campus and my instincts see a suspicious person in the shadows, and I put my flashlight up there like, hey, I just want to see what you, oh, I'm sorry, I just want to see what you're going on. I know now that that person's there, and I can go a different direction and avoid them and then get to a safe place and call the police, right? This particular flashlight, does anybody have a problem with seizures, by the way? The other reason I like this flashlight, and I've let my fellow officers test me on this just to see what it was like so I could talk about it, is this particular flashlight even comes with a strobe. So if they insist on coming after you, and I'm telling you, if you get them in the face with this, they get disoriented. They'll start to get headaches. It's hard to focus. And while they're trying to regain their vision and regain their senses, you should be running to a safe location and going, please help me, call the police, right? So I do start off the flashlight because I like how useful that can be from a distance, okay? The other two things on the pepper spray that I'm going to mention the pepper spray and then we'll move on, is I want to make sure people know how to effectively use pepper spray. Two things you got to make sure you do. One, take it out, test it, and make sure it works a little bit. And backstory on that is I bought some for my wife one day, and I'm like, honey, okay, let's go outside, just hit a little squirt, and make sure that you know what to expect. And it's a nice, calm, beautiful day. Well, apparently the one I bought was defective. She hits the button, instead of a stream, a cloudy mist comes out. And then a freak breeze out of nowhere blows the cloudy mist right back in my wife's face. And I'm not making this up. I'm glad to still be married. So it's important that you make sure you go out and just a little test occasionally. You want to make sure it works. The other part is when you use it, everybody thinks you spray the eyes directly. But the truth is that's not what we want you to do. People can close their eyes. It can kind of run away a little bit. We want you to spray just above the eyes so that the eyelashes and eyebrows kind of catch it, and then follow a Z pattern. Across the eyes, underneath the nose, like this, kind of like Zorro, right? I've been pepper sprayed, actually voluntarily at least once, and then a couple times by my fellow officers. So here's the truth behind pepper spray. What is incapacitating about it is when you're trying to breathe. That's why you go underneath the nose. What burns, it's just a normal function like breathing feels like fire. And that's what it basically wants you to break off your attack. So don't just spray the eyes, follow the Z pattern across their face, get it up underneath their nose and force them to breathe that, okay? General safety tips, we've kind of repeating a little bit, but there's a reason for that. Be aware of your surroundings. Pay attention, right? There's that theme. Walk in groups. When we talk about your average criminal, and Mo mentioned it, it's not the Ocean's 8 scheme thing. It's not like, okay, I need you to be my getaway driver. You're my hacker, you're my explosives, and can you fall out of the ceiling and steal stuff for me, right? That's not how your average criminal works. Your average criminal is looking for targets of opportunity, the easy targets. So again, the people not paying attention, the people walking by themselves instead of walking in groups. It's these things, remember that it's your, things that you can always be doing to keep yourself safe. It's these type things that we're talking about. You want to discuss safety in organizations ahead of time. You want to create a safety plan at home. You don't want to, wait until your building's on fire to go to your boss and say, hey, how do we get out when the building's on fire? It's a little late, right? Lock your dorm room, your apartments, your houses, your cars. Lock, 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 okay? I've literally worked one burglary of habitation, and this was a post-incident case, and I'm watching the video in Victory Hall, and I watched this guy just walking down the hall, like Mo had mentioned, just testing doors. As the doors were unlocked, he'd walk into the room. If nobody was in there, guess what? I'd watch him video, and he'd be carrying out PlayStations and TVs and things like that. So a simple thing, like when the door was locked, he left it alone. Just takes a second, do that, and that's enough sometimes to stop most criminals. I talk about being careful with what you share on social media. You don't want to put in there like, I'm so glad to be on vacation. It's going to be a great 2 weeks. Because the truth is you may trust your friends, but you trust your friends' friends, right? So be mindful of that. Like my wife, she used to do that, and I finally got her to understand to stop. So now it's when we get home, vacation was great. I'm so glad to be home. Just be thoughtful about things like that. Use your cell phone as your lifeline, but don't text and walk, and don't text and drive. It is illegal in the state. Hey, another theme, lock your vehicles, right? So secure your valuables out of sight. They don't typically like to smash stuff in cars because that draws attention. They like to find the unlocked doors. The exception is always going to be, though, when that nice, shiny laptop is sitting right there and they can break that window, grab that laptop, and run before anybody gets to the scene. Never leave your property unattended. Lock your bicycle. We recommend a U-lock or heavy-duty chain. Afterwards, see me, and I will talk to you more about my U-lock program if you're interested in getting a free U-lock, okay? Follow traffic laws. Does anybody here ride a bicycle on campus? Okay, so I'm assuming that you know that when you're on the streets, you're considered a vehicle, so therefore you have to stop at stop signs, stop at red lights, things like that, right? So just so we know, they all do that. Anybody drive a car here on campus? Okay, they're not going to do that. I promise you, we are trying to get the word out. We educate them. I have literally stopped a bicyclist from running a stop sign, and while I'm writing them a ticket, 3 more blew right past me in my time, okay? It's an ongoing battle. The only reason I mention that, it doesn't mean it's okay, is I just want you to be mindful as you're driving around this campus. Just be mindful, like, is that bicycle's potentially going to blow through this intersection or jump in front of me? And if you're planning ahead and saying, yeah, they probably are, we're going to keep our incidence of accidents low. And so that's all I'm asking from y'all on that, okay? So just to let you know, that audio is not in there to be insensitive. I have a reason. If you be patient with me for a second, I'll make sure to explain why. So we teach what the federal government has taught on active shooter. We teach the run, hide, fight, okay? A couple things I want to draw attention to this is even though we have it listed as 1, 2, 3, doesn't mean that you have to try to run before you can try to hide, or hide before you can try to fight. There is a potential that the violence could start in your location. And I'm going to tell you, it may be too late to run, and it may be too late to hide. You have to understand that your life is in imminent danger, and you may have to go straight to a fight phase, okay? So I want you to understand that. The other thing is that you may come across new information, and you have to change the response you choose. I look at the Parkland High School. He knew the run, hide, fight principles. He was a student there. He pulled the fire alarms. People came out to him, and he began engaging them, right? Well, that was new information. They didn't know there was an active shooter, but at that point, they discovered new information on their evacuation and had to start retreating back into the classrooms to hide. So just keep those 2 parts in mind. Just because it's 1, 2, 3, it's really a fluid response. You can go from 3 to 2 to 1 back to 3. But I am going to argue that there is a step before run, hide, fight. You have to recognize there's the danger happening in the first place. And I added this point in there after the Oregon Community College. You know, active shooter is kind of a passion of mine. I want to learn everything I can about them and share them with other people. And yes, I'll have to admit I'm a little behind. The Santa Fe High School was the last one that I've slowed down to read on. But the truth is, I was watching a testimony from a survivor at the Oregon Community College. And she had stated that her and her classmates had thought, and I'm wandering from the camera, had thought someone pushed books off of a desk. And it wasn't until a classmate had stepped out in the hallway and got gunned down that the rest of the class recognized the danger. So after I watched that interview, I was like, you know, I really want to mention that. I've shot a lot of guns. I was in the Army for 6 years. I put a lot of bullets down range and lots of stuff, and doing this for 12 years. I'd like to say that I know what guns sounds like. And it's not an apples comparison, but every 4th of July when I worked shift, I'd be running around and I'd have debates with officers. No, that was gunshots. That's not fireworks. And we're going back and forth, right? There's so many things that can affect the sound of what a gun sounds like. How big was the gun? How far away were the shots fired? How many sound barriers? So I argue, when I talk about recognizing the danger, it's not just enough to hear the gunshots and say this is happening, right? What did we hear in that audio? Screaming. Gunshots followed by screaming. The Orlando nightclub active shooters. People had stated they thought the DJ was playing music in the audio, and it wasn't until they were running away, or that the music had the gunshots in it, and it wasn't until they were running away that they recognized the danger. And it ties back into our being aware of your surroundings. Do you hear gunshots followed by screaming? Gunshots followed by people running away? Gunshots followed by an eerie, scary quiet when normally you would be hearing sounds, right? You have to constantly stay aware of your surroundings, and once you recognize that there is a danger, you go to the run, hide, fight, okay? When you're considered running, you want to consider the location of the shooter and do not evacuate if doing so means that you could become a target of opportunity. You want to consider the locations of windows, doors, and stairs and other things to evacuate. Just because you came through that door today doesn't mean that there's not other doors and ways to escape. Always be mindful of how else could I get out if I had to get out. Have your evacuation route plan in mind before you run out. We don't want you running around the building going, where's the exit during this moment? We want you, if you choose to run in this situation and you leave the safety of a location, we want you to be mindful, I'm going out this door, I'm going to go left down those stairs and follow those stairs down. You want to help others evacuate if possible, and you want to basically avoid running blindly into the unknown. We don't want you to go run around down the stairs and then you run into the shooter. Take a second peek over the stairs. Make sure you don't see a possible shooter there before you go down the stairs, okay? So hide. Basically, we've determined at this point in our response that getting out is not an option. So we're going to go into our hide phase, all right? If you're not already in a room or location, get into one as quickly as you can. You're going to lock and block the doors with heavy furniture. Now, I've heard a lot of people bring up, like, we don't have locks or anything like that. It doesn't, either way, you're blocking it with furniture. FBI did a study of 160 incidents from 2000-2013. 70% of those incidents ended in 5 minutes or less. Now, I will say I've come across some new studies. I'm trying to get some more information on it where that time looks like it's closing in on 8 minutes now. But either way, it's violence that happens, and it typically happens quickly and ends quickly. So even if we can't lock our doors, and the best we can do in our environment is slide that cabinet over, stack our chairs, move tables over there, things like that. If that's the best that we can do, then that's the best we can do, because what we want to do is at least create an obstacle to slow them down, to buy us those 5 minutes that we need, right? So that's one of the things you're going to do. You're going to shut off the lights. You're going to stay, like, this room would not probably be the best room because of the windows. So we might want to retreat to a different room with different windows if we had to hide. You're going to stay out of the view of the shooter, and you're going to remain calm and quiet. Every little sound and like the lull, and if you've ever walked around at nighttime, you hear all the crickets, you know what I'm kind of talking about. Things are amplified. So even the sound of a cell phone going zzz, zzz, could be the sound that draws attention. So it's not that you're not going to be able to make any noise, but instead of yelling like, hey, you, grab that table, maybe you go, hey, grab this end of the table, I'll grab this table, and then we quietly move it over there, right? Fight. This is when your life is in imminent danger. In my big program, I talk about some of the studies where basically it's been proven that the people who do nothing are the ones who lose their lives. I know not everybody here has got that fighter warrior spirit in you, and I get it. But the truth is that you can fight these fights and win. That FBI study, 13% of those incidents were ended when unarmed citizens fought back and they took action. When I talk about, like, anybody know how the Nashville Waffle House incident ended? Anybody pay attention to that? Shooter comes in the door, patron uses the door, wedges the gun down at an angle, takes the gun, throws it behind the counter, and fights. Did I say that the patron shot and killed the shooter? What about Santa Fe High School? Anybody know how that ended? A coach used a chair. Again, I didn't say pulled out a gun and shot the shooter. The point that I'm trying to make is even though you may not be the person with the gun, you can win those fights. It's been proven over and over again. If you look at it honestly, y'all have an advantage, okay? If the shooter comes into this location, it's typically one person and one against, what, 15, 20 in here? There's a little thing in life called action versus reaction. I could consciously make a decision to throw this at somebody before you can, and you're now required to react to it, right? Like, I've already thought, like, I'm going to throw this at her, I'm going to throw it, and now you're like, oh my God, as my clicker's in the air, besides the fact that I'm like, dear Chief, thank you for the opportunity with UNT PD. But you have to react. My clicker's already in the air, right? Action versus reaction. Force them to react to you. That's what this is about. This is about catching them off guard. You've got the tactical advantage. Catch them off guard. Make them go, oh my God, I did not expect this coming into this environment. So let's talk about the fighter. I'm going to ask y'all a question, and I'm begging y'all to please be honest with me because I look silly when nobody raises their hands. If I said, here's a pair of scissors, and you have to be the shooter, you have to go stab a shooter when they come in here, who are not my scissor stabbers? That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Because remember, you have a role though. Would you throw your cell phone? Would you throw a chair? A natural human reaction is you don't like to get hit in the face. You're going to, typically a person's going to blink, cover their face, look away. I'm not saying that they can't shoot that gun. But if our distractors, our non-scissor stabbers, are bombarding them, and I'm not saying get a piece of paper and be like, right? You want to find something that you can throw that's going to be merit. And you're going to bombard them with that. And I'm not saying that they can't shoot the gun, but if we can cause them to blink, look away, and keep them from being able to accurately look down the sights of that gun, then we're distracting them from being able to hurt people. Now, where are my scissor stabbers? You're like, I'll stab them twice, Sergeant Crawford. Okay. You're my fighters, okay? You're going to look around for whatever makeshift weapons you've got, and you're going to utilize those in like that group setting. A keyboard, you know, pens, pencils, swing the camera bipods flying around, whatever it is. And your goal is you're going to essentially use force on force to try to stop. You want to stop their ability to hurt from others. And if that's stopping their ability, maybe removing the gun from them and holding them down. Whatever it is, your goal is to stop their means from being able to hurt other people. All right? Outdoors. So I added this after the Las Vegas shooting because I watched a lot of survivor testimonies. And they're like, I got down on the ground as low as I could. And I'm like, okay, that's great. But the truth is, especially when he was shooting at an angle, that's not going to save your life. Even if he wasn't shooting from an elevated position, sitting on the ground with them, if they lay on the ground as low as they can get as flat as a sheet of paper. That's not what's going to save their life. So first things first is you have to try to identify where the shots are coming from. Little quick version so I don't take up too much time. Basically, bullets, for those of you who are not familiar with guns, they're happening because of an explosion inside the gun. If you know anything about explosions, that usually equals fire and smoke, right? So shots are being fired. Take a second, try to identify. I'm not saying you should sit there and be like, okay, was it there, there? No, maybe here. Take a quick second. Take in your environment and go, that's where the shooter looks like they're coming from. Look for things like, especially the faster they shoot and the darker the night, the more flashes you'll see. The more faster they shoot, more smoke in that general area. Look for things like that. Shooter's there. Then try to identify, am I in the kill zone? Right? You know you're in the kill zone because if people are falling to the ground around you, and yes, that's a military term, and I'm applying it to this, but it's what it is. People are getting shot around you. Do you see like puffs of things popping off the ground where the bullets are missing and hitting things, right? If you're in that kill zone, hurry up and get out of the kill zone. Run away from that shooter. Run to the nearest safety location, right? And what are we looking for? Well, cover. Cover will essentially protect you from bullets. The truth is if I shot my gun in here, and again, besides saying, dear Chief, thank you for the opportunities, this wall is going to take those bullets for me. It's going to protect me. Things like car engine blocks, big trees, concrete walls, things like that will take the bullets for you. That's what they call cover. Concealment is basically where you're out of sight. You can't be seen. I watched one survivor testimony on the Las Vegas shooting, and she stated that her and her friend spent 3 hours hiding in the bushes. I can promise you, if that shooter had shot through that bush, she would have been hit. The bullets would not take the bullets. That's not cover. But he didn't shoot into the bush because he didn't necessarily know there was anybody there in the bush to shoot at. So in the best world, you get cover and concealment. You get both. But if the best you can do is just hide yourself and keep yourself out of sight, and if that's the best you can get in your environment, then that's the best you can get. It's not getting down on the ground and laying low, okay? Contacting the police department, obviously call 911. Just so you know, for firefighter and paramedic purposes, it goes to the city of Denton first. The minute you tell them you're on campus and you need police, it's transferred to us, okay? You can also file for certain reports online if you choose to do so because you just don't have the time to call police or things like that. And also, Denton County has the technology to exist that you can text 911. We can tie this back into the active shooter situation. Remember I told you not to make a lot of noise? Well, maybe while you're hiding out, you text 911 in the message block like you would send it to anybody else and then put your message in there, active shooter, Willis Library, right? Real quick on reporting suspicious people, descriptions can make or break whether we know what to do. Okay? We get calls all the time like, you're looking for a white male in his 20s with a black backpack. That's a pretty vague description of UNT's community, right? So it's important. And I tell people like this way. The real short version is get their race, sex, and their height out of the way. So like for me, for example, tall white male. Get that done. I feel tall. Now I'm all like, what? Am I losing this and this? So the next part is that you're just going to follow with a head-to-toe principle. Just describe what you see as you work your way down. Like, I mean, for example, I'm going to transition my life. I think salt and pepper hair. I'm not really sure. You would work your way down if I had glasses, facial hair, and you just work your way down describing everything that you see. And that information is less likely to have us not be able to find the suspect. And hey, guess what? It's the 21st century. Who doesn't have a cell phone, right? Take a picture of the suspect. We're not saying you got to go up and be like, all right, yeah, UNT PD, send somebody. She smiled, great lighting, it was good. You can safely take a picture of a suspect from a distance like this without them ever knowing that you took their picture, and then we can utilize that information later on to find out if we have the right person or help find the right person. The last thing I'm going to kind of mention, and I think I turn it over to Justin after this, is that if we don't know, we can't help you. So many crimes happen on this campus, and there's I usually tell a story that I'll save for later, but so many crimes happen on this campus that if we had just known, we might have been able to prevent it from happening. It's okay to call the police and be wrong about why you called the police. If Mother Teresa's here is taking donations for the poor, we'll tell Mother Teresa, this is a really great thing you're doing. Have a wonderful day. And then I'm going to come back to you and I'm going to high five you and say, hey, good looking out. It's okay to call than not to call. I would definitely much rather go to Chief and say, Chief, it was a good day today. We caught bad guys. People called us for help. Than to go to Chief and say, I'm not sure why you pay me because nobody wants to call us for help. It's okay. All right, Justin, you're up.
Wait, before you do that, can I talk about something?
Of course.
So who's gotten an ID recently at UNT? Yeah, you do. Can you pull it out? Somebody have it accessible? We all want to see your picture. Yeah. You don't have. Okay, so yours doesn't have it. Yours does. Let me give that back to her. So on the back of your ID, if you've gotten a new ID recently, we have added the run, hide, fight in calling 911. And so that we're hoping that sooner or later everybody has one of these in their hands to know what to do in case of emergencies, in particular an active shooter. Okay? Awesome. Thanks.
I'm going to add one thing too. Does anybody care if I take a selfie with you on the background? I'd love to share this on our social media that we're having a good time today. Is everybody okay with that? All right. See, I'm not the selfie genius. I'm working with my 18-year-old daughter to learn more. All right, here we go. Ready? One more. There we go. Thank y'all.
You're hilarious.
Okay, saving the best for last. Thanks y'all very much for sticking around. Just kidding. Sergeant Crawford, Mo, thank y'all very much. All very good, relevant information. We hope y'all find some benefit in this. If you don't, take it up with Chief Reynolds after this. He'll be sticking around for question and answer. No, but in all reality, we've got a couple more slides to go through, and then we'll have some time to open it up for some question and answer. Again, if we don't know the answer, we can always get back with you as soon as possible with the answer that we go back and research for you. So again, are you personally prepared to react to severe weather warning or other emergency at home or at work as an individual, as a parent or guardian, as a supervisor or manager here on campus, maybe at your community center, at your church, as a UNT employee, right? So being prepared, again, that self-preparedness, that culture preparedness is what we really try to drive home in this. What would you do if ... name your emergency, occurred or happened right now? Where would you go? What would you do? Again, this isn't just stuff for police or emergency managers to consider. It is what we consider a lot of the time. I had somebody ask me once, Justin, how does it feel working in an industry or a field where all you do is think of the worst possible thing that could occur, and then how would you react to it? I say, I thought about it for a second. I said it's a really true statement, and it is what I do for the most part, but it's not something specific to my field. It's not something specific to what I do. I do it as a parent at the house. I do it as a community member with my community groups that I take part in as well. So again, this is much more far-reaching than just your professional life or your home life. North Texas weather, right? We run the gamut as far as severe weather situations that could affect our area. Large hail, extreme heat, tornadoes, flooding, winter weather, extreme heat. Who can tell me out of these which is the most deadly? Raise your hand. Heat, we got one for heat. What do you think? Tornadoes? Flooding is actually the answer. Flooding is the deadliest natural disaster that we have because of, right? It's the rushing water. It's the people not aware. They try to drive through areas with high water. And then a whole gamut of resources need to be utilized to try to save that person. So a watch versus a warning. A watch Easy thing to keep in mind, a watch happens before it gets really, really serious, okay? A watch is very widespread in our region. It could be a severe thunderstorm watch. It could be a severe heat watch. It could be a tornado watch. Conditions are favorable for that actual instance or that occurrence to actually occur, right? A warning happens. You need to go inside if it's affecting your area. Proceed with caution. And some of those things that you have considered or thought about pre this actually happening, you need to start instating those ideas or actions at that time once the warning is actually issued. So be ready for notifications. We've got the outdoor warning sirens throughout the city of Denton. I believe there's 3 of them on main campus, 1 at Discovery Park. They are tested on the first Wednesday of the month. We try to send out a Twitter alert to remind our campus community that that is going to be occurring, to not be alarmed. 88.1 KNTU FM, our world famous, the one for jazz here at UNT, will be displaying, or rather putting out audio messages from the National Weather Service, NOAA, if those are actually going off, even if they're just being tested. They overtake those airwaves and they broadcast that message from NOAA or National Weather Service. Eagle Alert, everybody's automatically signed up for Eagle Alert if you're faculty, staff, or student associated with this campus. If you're a visiting scholar, or if you are an adjunct faculty who maybe does not get a paycheck for whatever reason, I don't know if that's the case, but if you're a contract employee also that may be working in this area, there are opportunities to be put into this system as well. So just give us a call for those details at 6153 here on campus. Code Red, City of Denton Emergency Alert Notification System. Let me back up real quick. The Eagle Alert system is an opt-out system. Again, everybody's automatically enrolled, but it is imperative and very, very critical to keep your contact information up to date within my.unt.edu. You can even add, I believe it's up to 2 phone numbers, 3 now, total of 3 phone numbers, so yourself and 2 other phone numbers to be contacted in the event of an emergency on campus. As well. So again, my wife works for the city of Louisville. She receives any test alert or actual Eagle alerts that we receive on this campus, so she can actually remain aware of what's occurring here on this campus. Code Red is the City of Denton alert system. You can simply Google City of Denton Code Red and sign up for that. Very similar to Eagle Alert, wherein they will actually send you, the City of Denton Emergency Management Office, send you emergency alerts based off of your area that you sign up for in Code Red. That's a good system because the address that you provide Code Red, they can actually segment out that area of the city or the county and send an alert based off of the warning that's going to be affecting that specific area. So it doesn't just blast all, I don't know, 80-something thousand people that live in the city of Denton, or 100,000 now, I think actually we've surpassed. So they can actually segment out areas of the population based off that. And of course, Facebook and Twitter, follow NWS, follow at UNT Police, follow at UNT_EM. How many times can I plug that? Okay. Desktop override emergency notification is a new system that we have actually just gained access to on this campus. This has a little bit of sound, so just bear with me here. But this shows you what the desktop override alert system looks like. This has been instated on the majority of faculty, staff, and classroom computers on campus if that computer does not house some sort of life-saving device on it. So if they're not doing actual life-saving procedures or whatever, then it won't affect it. But you can see here, let's see if it loops back again. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it does. I'm going to step out of frame just for a second here and replay it. You can see this. So we're working. This is our Emergency Operations Center. The alert pops up. It tells you what to do, exactly what to do. And you actually have to acknowledge this alert. And you'll see the mouse kind of pop up. You actually acknowledge that you've seen this. We received the stats on that. This tells you what is going on and a specific action to do, just like our Eagle Alert does. Eagle Alert tells you what's happening and what to do based off that situation, right? If it's a tornado warning, a tornado warning is in effect for this area, proceed to your shelter-in-place area or the most interior area within your building immediately, right? So acknowledge that. That's a good resource. It's something us and we've collaborated with UNT PD on. very closely with to get this instated. It goes along with some automatic, very quick access buttons that we have in this Emergency Operations Center, as well as in the police dispatch area, that can get emergency notifications out very quickly based off of specific scenarios that could affect us as a campus community. Take action. Best location is below ground in the event of severe weather. If not available, go to the lowest level of your building and the most interior as possible that you can get into, putting as many walls between you and the exterior, staying away from windows. Turn around, don't drown. Again, huge national, federal campaign. The reason they put millions of dollars towards that campaign, and like I said earlier, is because that is the #1 killer due to natural causes. Every building on campus does have an emergency floor plan map. Again, go back to your office, go back to your area, look for yours if you don't know where it is, emergency.unt.edu. It's on there. It's on our app as well under UNT Emergency in any app store. If you notice any discrepancies or it's out of date because of construction that has recently occurred, please get in touch with us immediately. We'll go in there and get it fixed very, very quickly and get back with you that it has been updated, and also update the building representative for that specific building as well. Fire safety, training over, right? Fire's not safe, done and done. We know this. We've been practicing this since very early grade school. We are seeking funding for this signage here in the top left. So if anybody has any extra money laying around that they want to donate to us, we'll get these posted in all of the buildings around campus. Sometimes I get a few more laughs out of that. That's okay. I know you've been here for a long time. Never assume it's a false alarm. Immediately begin to evacuate the area. We really are not seeking funding for this, but in reality, fire safety signage, this is the first Google image search that pops up. I guess that tells you something. What? I don't know. Maybe it tells you to exit the building before you put it on social media. Take into account those who may have access and or functional needs. Be observant. Again, it goes back to what Mo and Sergeant Crawford has talked about throughout this whole hour-and-a-half presentation. Be observant of your surroundings. Always be a helpful individual. Pay your mind and pay your attention to those who may need a little bit of extra assistance or care as we go on about our normal day-to-day lives. Not only at UNT, not only here because we do care, but also within the community as well. So again, if I could drive one thing home, I think that would be the ultimate message. People wearing earbuds may not hear the alarm. As you do pass them, you can either gently knock them on the shoulder and tell them that there's a fire alarm going on and you need to evacuate immediately, or as you're walking by at a very quickly pace, feel free to gently nudge them. And gentle, I'm using that relatively, however you feel force-wise needs to be done to let them know that there is an emergency going on. Get their attention. Medical emergencies, call 911 immediately. We cannot stress that enough. That is the life-saving force, right? Without calling 911, we don't know what's going on. Police don't know what's going on. Paramedics, ambulance don't know what's going on. Know and communicate your exact location. Know where you are on campus. Don't be blindly walking around. Again, keep aware of your surroundings. Designate someone to meet first responders at a main entrance area to the building. Some of these buildings have multiple entrances and exits. Keep in mind that paramedics and fire departments will be coming to the most accessible entrance to your building. So that area that is closest to a large sidewalk or a large roadway, that's most likely going to be where they come into. UNT PD will mostly be on site beforehand to assess the situation. For the most part, they have a very, very, very quick response time on this campus, and there's a lot of them. As some of you may know who have been pulled over this morning, exceeding that 20 miles per hour speed zone on UNT Boulevard. Know the locations of your AED machines as well. Automated external defibrillators for heart attack victims. They have been utilized on this campus several times and have actually saved others' lives by utilizing those. We offer training in that for emergency management and safety services. So if you're interested in that, again, reach out to us. Trainings. Again, first aid, CPR, AED, automated external defibrillator. We do fire extinguisher training as well. Stop the bleed training that I mentioned. We have one of those coming up. We have some flyers in the back on your way out. We've also got some sign-in sheets for attending this. To be sure and sign in your information that you were here. Safety Coordinator Program is an outreach program that we put out there in every building, hopefully having trained individuals who are interested in this subject matter and interested in response or safety or preparedness. to come up with a building action plan with the assistance from our office. So if you're interested in that, again, reach out to us on that front too. Continuity of operations, again, one more aspect of our area, emergency management and safety services. Have a plan in place, be ready, be prepared at home, water, be prepared at work to continue your duty as a UNT community member, a Denton community member, or even just a part of your family. So international travel is another program that we do within our office as well. And then general preparedness info, again, all of this is on emergency.unt.edu. We can give you the tools. It's up to you to put them to work. So I will leave it with that. We will open with any questions if you have any. We have about 10 minutes left in our time here. We have Chief Reynolds here from UNT PD, again, Sergeant Crawford, and Dr. Mo McGinnis from the Dean of Students Office, and of course us, Emergency Management. I'm going to go ahead and flip to the next page if you want this information. These are some more resources for you on campus and as community members. And then I'll switch it over to the next slide right before we all leave and after we take questions that has our director's contact information, Mo, Chief Reynolds, and then my director, Mr. Scotty Selman, as well. So with that, I will open it up for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have, and we can talk. We are live streaming, so we'll pass around a microphone as well. So, anybody? This has been that thorough and well orchestrated training. Of course, Maggie has something. Okay, let me get this mic to you, Maggie.
Thank you for having something. I'll make sure to let you know that.
Well, it's not a question necessarily, but since y'all are plugging social media, on Twitter, you can subscribe to push notifications for Eagle Alert, Police Department, whatever account. And I've noticed I get those way sooner than my actual personal alert.
Perfect. And that's at UNT Eagle Alert, I believe, on Twitter. I believe. Eagle Alert, just Google, as Maggie was saying, you can Google UNT Eagle Alert, and it'll be an actual homepage for that, and they'll have the link for that. So
yeah, and on Twitter, you can, on that Eagle Alert page, the settings button, you can like subscribe to, like, as soon as they tweet it, you get a notification on your lock screen.
Awesome. Thank you.
So what I've learned is we shouldn't ask questions. We should ask everybody to come up with 2 questions. Does that make sense? So before you leave, you have to have 2 questions so that we ask, because y'all have questions. What's going on? Anything? Yes.
So I am the building rep for Marcus Hall, and I assume I probably should be the safety coordinator, but nothing has ever officially been done about that. So should I just arrange to attend a safety coordinator class, and would that be the normal progression, that if I am the building rep, I might also be the safety coordinator?
100% yes. We will reach out to you, rightfully so. As a building representative on campus, you have the most institutional knowledge about your building, usually what goes on in your building, some of the possible dangers or possible shortcomings as far as safety and security are concerned with that building. Reach out to us. We can assist you. We can help you put together a team of safety coordinators with that building and get you all trained up in emergency preparedness, stop the bleed, general first aid, and CPR as well. So yes, great question. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And that was 2 questions.
You get free lunch today. Chief spying. What else? Let's we want to go to the next slide so they have that.
We won't be going right at the end. If you have something, I get it. People don't always just like to ask questions in front of a crowd, so we will still be here. We don't want, oh, go ahead.
When's the next donut meeting with you guys?
Donut meeting. It'll be in the finals week. I discovered last year, usually I kind of test around. I love doing it in the finals week. It just, for our students specifically, it was just kind of a little pick me up in the day. So it'll be during finals week in December. But we will be having a pizza with the police I'm just waiting on confirming the location the first 2 weeks in November. So come by, get it. For those who don't know what he's talking about, which is another great reason to follow us on our social media accounts, is every semester we try to do events. We want to create an environment and a situation where you can come ask questions, get to know the UNT Police Department, and kind of a more of a, and food is kind of the icebreaker in all environmental situations, right? So we'll serve you free pizza, free drinks, free donuts, and literally all you got to do is show up and just say hello, and then we'll give you free stuff. So, anybody else? Okay, well, I'm not going to keep going back and forth unless Mo or Justin wants to keep trying to pry. We'll still be here if y'all have questions, and please check out the resource table and sign-in sheet. And then we also have, you should see some like free pins that you can have. They're the kind of cool pins or stylists and blue. Have a wonderful day, and thank y'all for being here.